Families are the core unit of communities, the place where a child's first perspectives and opinions are formed, and the greatest initial influence of a child's socialization. Building strong families is a goal that is shared both locally and nationally. Legislators, educators, scholars, civic, and religious leaders recognize the importance of strong families and the myriad of risk factors that they continue to combat. A family life specialist from the University of Wyoming wrote with hope, however, about the resiliency of American families in meeting the growing daily challenges. Because research supports the concept of cultivating family strengths for a thriving community, organizations and institutions have begun to seek out more opportunities and methods to engage, support, and respect family strengths. Traditionally, families are rarely visible, and their lives are only relevant when they affect the child or client the institution is trying to serve. A shift in thought is occurring that moves from serving individual clientele, whether parent or child, to an approach that cultivates family. Schools, one of the primary institutions critical in shaping individuals, are seeking, developing, and sharing programs that involve families in order to support this shift. Schools have adopted this paradigm change not only in recognition of the importance of supporting and cultivating family strengths, but also because research links family involvement to individual academic and overall school success. Various terms are used to describe how schools and other institutions engage families through programming. The term family-focused has become a familiar phrase to encompass a wide variety of programming and practices. For the purpose of this paper, the term family-focused programs acknowledges the central role families play in their children's well-being and reflects this new understanding through programs and practices that engage and strengthen families as a critical resource. Incorporating a family-focused approach throughout the daily life of schools and community services requires that these institutions fundamentally change the way they view their missions as well as their relationships with families and with each other. The term engagement is used interchangeably with involvement. These terms indicate interaction and a reciprocal relationship in reference to families and school systems. Another term important to define is family. In this paper, it refers not just to parents, as so much of the research focuses on, but the family unit, brothers, sisters, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, or any other caregivers who share responsibility for primary caregiving. This broad definition is used because, as will further be discussed in this paper, making education a shared responsibility of both family and schools requires not simply the presence of parents at activities, but will shift the culture of both families and schools and their daily conversation and long-term practice. Much research has been done to identify policies, practices, and programs that will involve families in the schools and the education system to increase parental involvement and improve student success. Financial savings alone are a strong persuasion to support family involvement. An engaged parent saves the school $1,000 per pupil in investments required to make gains in student achievements. Because of these savings, research on how to increase family involvement through family-focused programming is broad, but existing challenges remain. A national survey found that only 1/3 of teachers strongly agree that parents support them in their efforts to educate their children. However, it seems that both parents and teachers struggle supporting and maintaining family-focused programs. Because teachers do not routinely encourage family involvement, and parents do not always participate when they are encouraged to do so. Many school districts and universities are currently working on programs, policies, and research to identify best practices that can overcome these barriers. Now that I've given a background into family engagement and its importance, in the rest of the presentation, I will be discussing a family engagement assessment rubric that I've modified in order to understand the process of developing family-focused programming in schools. I will talk about the depth of engagement and cultural change due to family-focused programming in families and schools. I'll present examples to link research and theory with practice. And finally, I will discuss what implications understanding and incorporating higher levels of engagement for families could have for intergenerational programming. Oakland Unified Schools, an urban school district in Oakland, California, determined that each of their schools should be able to self-assess their level of family engagement and create a rubric with specific indicators of engagement. The rubric illustrates what an engaged school will look like from the pre-initiation to sustaining stages of adopting a family-focused program. Like many of the rubrics used, the main focus is on practices and policies of teachers and school districts. The Family Engagement for Student Learning rubric places the lowest levels of engagement on a scale, indicating the beginning stages of engagement, and with the progression of time and practice, increasing engagement as the continuum moves to the right. The 4 levels move through pre-initiation, initiation, development, and sustaining phases. The final phase represents the long-term behavior and cultural change that comes through implementing best practices of the program. Areas of implementation are divided up into 4 categories: learning, leadership, advocacy, and systems. To make this rubric a measure not only for schools but also families to assess both their personal and school engagement, I've created an adapted version addressing family responsibility and cultural change, practice in families affecting the whole family system. And understanding this rubric, it's important to clarify that in many of the actions described for family responsibility, they will be actions that most frequently are taken by parents. However, these roles are not exclusive to parents. Additionally, major modifications have been made to the developing and sustaining stages of the rubric, though it's important to acknowledge that parents and family members can be active advocates for change in the initiation stages as well. The first category, learning, incorporates the importance of a shared school vision, educational activities, and practices and achievement for long-term effective learning to take place in both the school and home. Family engagement in learning is necessary. Defining vision requires a large-scale effort across the district to be successful. Though there are many individual classrooms and teachers with a vision for highest levels of engagement and long-term change, these practices need to be supported by the larger institution. Sharing a vision means that districts, schools, and families share a broad understanding of family involvement that honors and supports each partner's role in supporting student learning. In Washington, the Federal Way Public Schools have defined their vision and engaged families in this process through a district parent committee. This committee works with a family partnership office whose role it is to ensure that family engagement is an integral part of learning, to shape annual performance goals. In addition, this committee hosts accountability meetings that allow parents, community, and school personnel to ask questions and provide feedback on current goals and strategies of the district. A summary report is created by the committee and is shared with all families, school staff, and community members. Steps taken to define this vision with families as an active part illustrate a deeper level of engagement that can sustain long-term behavior change. One can imagine that families, as a result of their participation in these meetings, increase in understanding, ability to articulate, and their sense of responsibility for contributing to this vision. Educational activities and practices adopted as a result of a shared vision for family engagement are diverse. Numerous examples exist to involve families in student learning, from inviting a parent into the classroom to having the parent take an active role in planning core curriculum and even in its delivery. In their article, Connecting Families and Classrooms Using Family Involvement Webs, authors Coleman and Wallinga write about an activity that can help teachers understand how to incorporate families into the curriculum development and teaching process. Using core content areas, teachers meet with families and ask them to brainstorm ideas of complementary family involvement activities that might support the content area and could take place within the classroom, at home, or in the community. These activities could place the family in a variety of roles, from a support role in the classroom to an educator in the community and home. However, allowing the family to generate this web of learning activities provides an opportunity for family values to be expressed, for families to choose effective methods of learning for their children, and to choose learning activities that suit their particular life demands and personal interests.